Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you've been selling online lately, you already know the e-commerce landscape has basically turned into an absolute minefield, right? The old sketchy methods of dropshipping, yeah, they're pretty much just a fast track to massive account bans now. And traditional retail, it's getting squeezed tighter than ever before. So today, we're diving straight into the definitive 2026 blueprint for wholesale dropshipping. We're going to break down a highly structured, fully compliant way to build a real asset in this crazy environment. Here's the roadmap for the explainer today. We'll cover the 2026 dropshipping landscape, why wholesale wins, how to find reliable suppliers, the whole Amazon versus eBay debate, and finally, the automation and scaling strategy you need. All right, part one, the 2026 dropshipping landscape. We really have to start with the shifting economics of selling online today. Because honestly, to put it bluntly, global logistics costs have spiked a massive 15 to 20% year over year. Think about that for a second. If you're still buying thousands of units up front, storing them, and just praying they sell while bleeding cash on warehouse fees, you are absorbing an absurd amount of financial risk. Between ongoing supply chain disruptions and fuel prices bouncing all over the place, that traditional inventory storage model is getting absolutely crushed. It's wildly expensive, and man, is it precarious. And this is exactly why wholesale dropshipping is literally the ultimate 2026 cheat code. You partner with real authorized distributors, but get this, you never actually touch the inventory. You only pay for the product after your customer pays you. With startup costs usually sitting under $500, you completely bypass that massive upfront financial barrier of traditional retail. But you still get to tap into the huge customer bases of major online marketplaces. It completely flips the old risk model upside down. Moving right along to part two, why wholesale wins. Let's see why this specific model is rapidly making older, riskier methods totally obsolete. Think about the stark contrast between these two approaches. You've got retail arbitrage, flipping clearance items from big box stores, which basically leaves you scraping by on 5 to 15% margins. You're dealing with totally unpredictable inventory and working with a constant axe just hanging over your account. But then you have formal wholesale. This unlocks bulk pricing tiers straight from the source, instantly pushing your profit margins up to that sweet 20 to 40% range. You get stable inventory feeds and, crucially, it gives you the one thing retail arbitrage just can't, 100% account safety. And that safety is absolutely crucial right now. Platforms are aggressively hunting down unverified sourcing. Amazon's IP complaint bots and eBay's verified rights owner programs are making gray zone selling genuinely dangerous. But here's the fascinating dynamic. They don't just tolerate wholesale dropshippers. They actively prefer them. Why? Well, because you're bringing a legitimate, predictable supply chain right to their front door. You provide consistent stock, perfectly accurate listings, and literally zero copyright headaches. Look, in 2026, it's not a matter of if your seller account will be reviewed, right? It's a matter of when. A screenshot of an online retail receipt, that's going to get you permanently banned. No way that passes a marketplace authenticity check. But a formal, itemized invoice from a recognized, authorized wholesale supplier, now that is your bulletproof shield. Showing your business name, product identifiers, and pricing creates a 100% compliant paper trail that just clears those automated flags instantly. Okay, Section 3, finding reliable suppliers. Since we know documentation is your shield, let's explore exactly how you go about finding and vetting these critical relationships. Because remember, your supplier's performance basically dictates 80% of your customer satisfaction. So here is your exact roadmap, from zero to your first profitable order. It always starts with data. Don't just guess, use data-driven tools. If Google Trends shows home decor spiking 25% year over year, start there. Set up your storefront on Shopify or WooCommerce, and then use directories like SaleWho to hunt down and verify real suppliers. But the absolute most crucial step of this whole process, the test order. You've got to place 3 to 5 sample orders yourself. Check their shipping speed, their communication, the packaging quality. Do all of this before you ever risk your own seller reputation on a real customer. And when you are vetting these suppliers, geography is quite literally everything. You really must prioritize US-based wholesale suppliers who can deliver in 2 to 5 days. Why is this so critical? Well, because in 2026, consumer patience is practically zero. You know how it is. 70% of consumers expect their stuff in under 3 days. So relying on international sources with 10 to 20-day lead times, that is just business suicide today. US-based fulfillment gives you an average 95% on-time delivery rate, returns are a million times simpler, and it totally eliminates those awful customs nightmares. Which brings us to Section 4, Amazon versus eBay.
Choosing your battlefield is a massive decision. So let's compare the two giants commanding over 40% of all US online retail traffic. When we weigh the platforms, Amazon is obviously the heavyweight. You get access to a massive base of over 200 million Prime members who are totally fine spending a higher average order value, roughly $60. People trust Amazon implicitly, so it easily supports premium pricing. But it is a high-reward, high-scrutiny environment. Amazon demands absolute perfection. Your order defect rate, it has to stay strictly under 1%. Late shipments, keep them under 4%. Or, you're simply out.
On the flip side, eBay is definitely the path of least resistance for easier onboarding and just total listing flexibility. You can run auctions right alongside fixed price listings, and honestly, they're far more lenient with new sellers. But you are trading that ease for a lower average order value around $40 and buyers who will absolutely ruthlessly comparison shop. The real insider takeaway here, though, the data shows about 25% of top wholesale dropshippers don't even choose. They just run both platforms simultaneously to hedge their bets and completely diversify their revenue streams.
All right, final part, Section 5, automation and scaling strategy. Let's look at the exact tools needed to turn this from a manual side hustle into a massive profitable entity.
Because listen, if you try doing all this manually, you are going to hit a brutal ceiling at about 10 orders a day before you entirely drown in admin work. Wholesale inventory moves fast and prices fluctuate daily. Leveraging automation software like Easync for real-time stock syncing and auto-ordering, that acts like your own virtual logistics team. It shoots the order over to your supplier the exact second a customer pays. We're talking about slashing your manual workload by up to 95%, while at the same time protecting your margins with dynamic repricing.
And all of this feeds into a highly strategic catalog split. To really intelligently manage your risk, you want to build a balanced 60-40 portfolio. Dedicate 60% of your store to evergreen items, things like kitchen tools or pet supplies that generate boring but beautifully consistent daily revenue. Then dedicate the remaining 40% to high-margin, trend-based seasonal products. This exact mix pays the baseline bills year-round while giving you the flexibility that cash in on those massive, temporary spikes in consumer demand.
So as we wrap up this explainer, the data is pointing to a pretty straightforward choice. Are you ready to use real, compliant wholesale agreements to build a scalable, automated empire? Or are you going to stay trapped in the danger zone of retail arbitrage, just sweating it out, waiting for that inevitable account suspension email? The tools, the verified suppliers, and the data-driven blueprints for 2026 are literally right here. So the real question is, how will you build your business from this point forward?